Hi everyone, this is some YouTube Gamer here, and today I want to talk about class balance for PvP. If you've been keeping up to date with the latest news from Reddit or the famous YouTubers and streamers, you'll see that the vast majority of people in the Destiny community are literally calling for a sort of witch hunt against Sunsinger warlocks. They are calling for Viking Funeral to be nerfed, although Firebolt itself as a grenade has already been nerfed. It had a damage reduction when TTK dropped along with Arc Bolt grenades. So now for full disclosure, I would like to state that I do main Sunsinger Warlock. I play with all subclasses. I've got countless hours in all subclasses, but I do mainly use Sunsinger Warlock in PvP as well as Blade Dancer. They are literally my two go-to classes when I'm serious about PvP. And as a warlock, I do have to admit that Firebolt grenade with Touch of Flame and Viking Funeral is very strong in PvP. In fact, it's one of the main reasons why many people use Sunsinger warlocks in PvP with Void Fang investment, so they can get their grenades all the time, because as many say in the community, the grenades kind of make the subclass, and I would like to agree with that. It's definitely very, very strong, and in my honest, objective opinion, because just because I'm a warlock doesn't mean I can't objectively look at whether or not Viking Funeral is overpowered or not. In my honest, objective opinion, I do believe that Viking Funeral will do some good if it was removed for PvP. And be replaced with something useful. But having said that, I don't think the whole focus on classes being broken should be on the Sunsinger Warlock, and especially on Viking Funeral, because I think there's far more things that are broken about Destiny subclasses in PvP. One good example is just sticky grenades. For example, you have these grenades that are one hit kill that have incredible aim assist. You can literally outgun someone, and in desperation, all they have to do is throw a sticky grenade in the general direction, in your general direction, and they will get a free kill or trade. And I think that's incredibly cheap. I think the game should reward skills and limit cheap deaths, and I really don't think sticky grenades of all sorts, fusion grenade, flux grenade, magnetic grenades, I don't think they have a place in PvP. In fact, I think maybe Bungie should think of making subclasses, one for PvP and one for PvE, because they do make a lot of sense for PvE, but for PvP they're incredibly cheap. If they're gonna keep the same amount of high aim assist on sticky grenades, I think they shouldn't be a one-hit kill. I think they should nerf the damage of sticky grenades if they're gonna keep them with such high aim assist, because they literally act like suction cups. You just throw in the general direction and they just whoop stuck on the opponent and they are dead. Cheap deaths. I've seen so many people just come around the corner, throw a sticky, go back behind cover, get a free kill. No need to use your primary or your secondary. So yeah, I found them incredibly cheap, and I think they are a big problem than Viking Funeral. Something else that never made sense to me from day one is the Hunters, and to an extent the Striker Titan quote-unquote melees. In fact, for the purpose of this video, I went ahead and googled the word melee, and the top result is this: melee, a word borrowed from French meaning hand-to-hand close-quarter combat. Melee attacks are in contrast to ranged attacks performed at a distance, like shooting bullets, throwing fireballs, or firing rockets. In the case of the Night Stalker or Gunslinger, you could literally replace throwing fireballs and firing rockets with throwing knives and throwing smoke. and you have what Bungie calls quote-unquote melee, when in fact they don't even fall into the conventional category of melee attacks. They're actually ranged attacks. I see a lot of people complaining that Sunsinger have the biggest range melee in the game. Yeah, if when you're talking about conventional melee, which is hand-to-hand close quarter combat, yes, they do have the highest melee range. But when we are talking about melee in Destiny terms, they definitely do not have the highest melee range. You have throwing knives, gunslingers can have 2 throwing knives that can kill opponent from across the map. You can run out of bullets in your primary and secondary and still have a way to kill the opponent from a distance with a throwing knife. You don't have that possibility with a warlock. You can't kill people from outside their melee range. So and in the case of the Night Stalker, the Night Stalker melee is actually a secondary grenade. Why do we even call it the melee? It's a secondary grenade, and they have on top of that a normal melee that does normal melee damage at melee range. And to make matters worse, the quote-unquote melee for the Night Stalker is a poisonous smoke that is worse, that is comparably worse than a Firebolt grenade with a Viking Funeral. Yes, Viking Funeral burns you for 14 seconds, and I understand that burning for that long is annoying. I completely agree with you. I hate being burned by Sunsinger Warlocks with Viking Funeral, but it's nowhere as nearly as annoying and obnoxious as smoke with poison, because not only the smoke burns you like Firebolt grenade, but it blinds you and slows you down. So you have 2 added benefit of a melee, quote-unquote melee, with the Night Stalker. And if that wasn't enough, you can even pair that quote-unquote melee with a conventional grenade like the Void Wall or the Vortex and get a one-hit kill without ever using your primary or secondary from a great distance, far beyond what you will call melee range. So what's more overpowered, the Viking Funeral or what Hovey calls the Wombo combo? If you're gonna call a witch hunt on Sunsinger Warlock, I think we should also have a look at Gunslingers melees and Night Stalker melee. And talking about Night Stalkers have the best mobility perk in the entire freaking game in Shadestep. Not only Shadestep disrupt the opponent's aim, but is able to avoid all kinds of tracking grenades. Firebolt grenade, action bolt, skip grenades, whatever you want to call it. You only have to time your Shadestep properly and you can dodge all the kinds of tracking grenades, even including the sticky ones. That's incredibly powerful. Disrupting the opponent's aim assist allows you to get incredibly close. It's absolutely obnoxious to deal with Shadestep and shotgun. In my humble opinion, I think it's far worse to deal with Shadestep and shotgun than it is to deal with blink shotgun in year 1. That's how bad I think Shadestep is overpowered as a mobility perk. In my opinion, it seriously needs to be nerfed. In fact, even blink cannot dodge tracking grenades. Shadestep can. So if we are going to talk about things that are overpowered, I think Shadestep needs to be looked at. Other things that need to be looked at in a lesser extent is things like invisibility. All hunters can go invisible. The gunslinger having to use the Capri Sting to be able to do so. But I'm pretty sure that most people don't have an issue with invisibility, but for people that are like me, that have some sort of vision impairment, wear glasses or whatever, we immensely struggle to see invis hunters, and not only we can't see them physically on the screen, but the radar itself works against you, because the radar is actually delayed compared to where they actually are. So whenever I'm in trials and I come across people that are using Gunslinger, I always die to them, because I can never not only see them on the screen, but I can never accurately locate them using the radar. So while Bungie was boasting about providing options for people that have some sort of color blindness, at the same time they turn around and give invisibility to all hunters class, which is incredibly obnoxious and difficult to deal with for people that have bad eyesight, like myself. So it might not be a problem for people that have 20/20 vision, but for the rest of us that have slight vision impairment, it's incredibly difficult to deal with. And personally, for me, single-handedly is the most annoying thing to deal with in PvP. People that go invis, especially in trials. Another thing that needs to be looked at in a lesser extent as well is shoulder charge and the air dashers from Twilight Garrison. The reason I'm mentioning shoulder charge, I don't think shoulder charge is necessarily broken, but I think it could do with like some slight tweaks. Like for example, I never understood when I got Destiny, because I did get Destiny late and I had to try and get good at the game. But right from when I picked up the game and understanding the mechanics of the game, I never understood why Titan were allowed to use shoulder charge when their melee wasn't actually fully charged. And while I understand that it's an optional perk on the actual skill tree, I never understood why it's still a one-hit kill even when you don't have your melee fully charged. I would have thought that you get the full damage if your actual melee is fully charged, but Titans don't need their melee to be fully charged to perform a one-hit kill with shoulder charge. And on top of that, the animation itself has very little recovery. I've seen people slide then shoulder charge, or shoulder charge then slide, or shoulder charge and immediately shotgun, because there's virtually no recovery to shoulder charge. I think shoulder charge should be used intelligently, but unfortunately, because of the way shoulder charge is at the moment, with the fact that it has virtually no recovery, people just literally abuse it, and you get a lot of people that go around in Crucible just trying to shoulder charge everything. So that's something else that needs to be looked at in a lesser extent. Twilight Garrison, as I mentioned, it's pretty good. The only I don't necessarily have an issue with Twilight Garrison is how it's used in conjunction with things like Titan skating and shoulder charge. It makes it incredibly difficult to fight against Striker Titans, and it makes them having a very, very good insane mobility and a very good neutral game. So if we're gonna call for a witch hunt on Sunsinger Warlocks, those are just a few examples of all the things that need to be looked at. The biggest thing obviously being the Night Stalker in my humble opinion, but all classes except maybe for the Sunbreakers, because I think they are in a good place. All of the classes definitely need to be looked at, because Viking Funeral is definitely not the most broken thing in PvP right now, and I simply don't understand why the majority of people are calling for the nerf of Sunsingers, when there are far more broken things in PvP right now. But then again, that's just my opinion again, and I'm actually quite interested in hearing what you guys think. Am I making sense in this video? Am I just defending the Sunsinger? Is there specific perks you would like to see nerfed? Is there specific perks you would like to see added to the game? Just let me know in the comment section below. I would really like to know what you guys think. But that's it for me, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll be back with some more Destiny videos. Thank you guys for watching.
Bro, I did it on purpose. I could have went the other way. Don't get happy.